There are a number of people here that are at different levels in their preps. We've got less than 3 months. We've got more than 30 years. We can take tonight and we can focus on one topic, or we can just get it all out there. So instead of me talking more and more, I've said my piece tonight. I've introduced something that is contrary to what the average prepper thinks, and I hope that I've made an impact. Because with the people in this room, we can do what needs to be done. L.B. Keller is from Osceola, Northeast Arkansas. He and everybody with him have a better chance of surviving if Hot Springs survives. Jerry's son's in Paragould, Arkansas. Jerry's son and the people with him have a better chance of surviving if Hot Springs survives. See, because it doesn't stop here. It grows out. And it gets bigger and bigger. The beautiful thing is if you walk into a dark room, the farther in that room you go with your flashlight, the more you're going to see, the brighter it's going to get. If we can secure Hot Springs and help 40 to 45% of the people make it through and prosper, then we spread out from there. 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, 100 miles, 250 miles. Next thing you know, our little country amidst the chaos will be huge. Farther we go, the brighter it'll get. So when we think about folks like, I have friends in Memphis, we have friends in Springfield, Missouri, I have friends in Dallas, Texas, my wife has family in Houston, Texas. When you think about it, if we started a center location, the faster we can secure that area, the faster we can grow out and save others that we love. And what's going to require us, or what's going to enable us, I should say, to secure that area so quickly is the fact that we're not waiting for day one. We're starting now. Every Christian I know has spoken to other people about Christianity. There are 2 types of calling in life. You have those that are called to spread the word to save man's souls. Then you have those that are called to spread the word to save man's lives. The souls are more important, because when the second one fails, at least they'll have something better in the afterlife. Every person here is called to spread the word to save man's life. Why aren't we doing it? We're not doing it because people ridicule us. And they look at us like we're fanatics. They hear we're preppers and they immediately think of the guys eating bugs on Doomsday Preppers. Jerry tried some of those bugs. It's actually pretty good, wasn't it? The way you convince people of the need to start prepping is you don't browbeat them with the conspiracies. You don't browbeat them with the gloom and doom. You ask them a simple question. What does it hurt? That's what got my wife on board. For years, I prepped alone, sneaking stuff in. And I didn't do a very good job of it. My wife came on board, things changed. She spends more on preps than I do. She learns more about preps than I do. I learned how to survive, and I spread that word. She learns how to make sure that I can survive comfortably. I have good food to eat, which I appreciate a lot. But when you're talking to people about becoming a prepper, you don't want to come across sounding like a fanatic. So you just ask them a simple question. What does it hurt? Because really, when you think about it, it doesn't. Any person here could lose their job tomorrow. Any person here could get in a car accident and be hospitalized tomorrow. If you're the sole source of income for your family, and you get in a car accident and get hospitalized for a month, how's your family going to eat? So you prep now so that in any situation, your family can survive. That's how you explain to people the need to start prepping. Once they realize the need to start prepping, they'll find their own way, and quite a few of them will become fanatics. And they'll start listening to David's big brother. And And when they do, you can get together with a cup of coffee and say, you're on the right track, but let me help you over here. And you bring them around to our way of thinking. Because our way of thinking is going to be what saves people. Not waiting for the financial collapse, which will be a byproduct of a society and an event, or waiting for the pandemic, which will be a byproduct of a society and an event. You can't make it to day 180 if you don't make it home on day one, and you can't build a society if you don't make it to day 180. So you have to be watching for day one so that you can survive it. Make the rest of the way. So I promised Jerry I'd keep it short, and I have. Instead, what I'd like to do, I'd like to really take this time to do question and answer. Because I know if we've got people that have been prepping for 30 years and people that have been prepping for 3 months, there's going to be a wide variety of questions in the middle. So I'll stay here until everybody makes me leave or the last question's asked. Let's just have some fun with it. Yes, love.
I know if it's a major catastrophe, a lot of people are going to die. But
Right.
why wouldn't the government restore itself at some point? If the presidents are down in the bunkers and stuff like that.
The government will restore itself eventually in a limited capacity, in a limited environment. When that happens, that's when we're looking at some major issues, because they will come in and they will try to establish their type of order, which will be contrary to what we've been living while they spent 2 years underground. That's when we'll have war and conflict, and a lot more people would die. Fortunately for us, enough of the military will remain topside when the event takes place that they're not going to put up with somebody that's lived underground for 2 years and not dealt with what we had to deal with coming out and taking control. So they will have limited capacity, limited power to begin with. Any other questions?
I've heard you speak about this before, but some of these people may not have.
Okay.
Where the 180 day comes from and why the first part of November is important. I've gone through all this solar system.
Oh, wow. That's like asking me to give a punchline and not tell a joke. Okay. We're going to make a real long story short. Okay? The world is not going to end in November. The first 16 days of November, every square mile on the face of the earth will be negatively impacted by some form of natural disaster. Every square mile on the face of the earth. There are 19 disaster scenarios that we track. 11 of them are interconnected with the others. We are forecasting that the 5th, 6th, and 7th of November, every one of those 19 disaster scenarios that we track will take place somewhere globally on every one of those 3 days. To come up with this, every hour, mathematical equations are processed to determine what the percentage of probability of each of these 19 things are for tomorrow, every hour today. Some of the things that we track have as few as 400 variables entered into the mathematical equation. Some of them have as many as 14,000. It'll take me 4 hours to go through the whole process and explain that. So let me make it real short and real simple. Either I'm right or I'm wrong that the first 16 days of November are going to be horrendous globally. Life will be much different starting in December than we've ever seen before. By August of 2014, the constellations that we see in our night sky will be different. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. If you want to take 4 hours some night, I'll explain to you how we get to that point. I'll give you the math and the science and the history and the archaeology behind all of that. I have no problems with that. Instead, let's just make it real simple. Either I'm right or I'm wrong. If you believe I'm right and you prepare and I'm right, you survive. If you believe I'm right and you prepare and I'm wrong, you survive. If you believe I'm wrong and you don't prepare and I'm right, you die. And so does your spouse, so does your children, your grandchildren, and everybody else that depends on you. So there's a 65% chance that you survive against a 35% chance that you don't. Now, there's some videos that we're working on getting up onto YouTube and some different things that are going on, and I will be back many times teaching these seminars. By all means, if that's of concern to you, come to the seminars. Until then, what I can tell you is start preparing. Make sure that you've got what you and your family need, and then continue to prep to make sure that when your neighbors don't have something, you've got something that they might be able to need. Then continue to prep so that when the society starts to rebuild, you can help those that you need to help. Give you an example. I have a friend of mine that has probably the nicest trauma first aid responders bag I've ever seen. Very seldom do I look at somebody's stuff and actually say, I need that. Because I'm constantly studying this, I'm constantly getting what I need anyway. Very seldomly am I actually jealous over somebody else's stuff. But his trauma bag, man, I'm really jealous over. So I've started building mine to duplicate his. We were talking one day, this was probably 2 weeks ago, we were talking and I said, hey, you know, no, actually it was a week ago Monday because I just come back from the Germantown show and restocked on my medical supplies. I said, hey, I restocked on my medical supplies, you know, if you need sutures, staplers, glue, new skin, whatever, you know, let me know and I'll pull it out for you when I go to the next show so I don't sell it. He says, oh, I've got everything I need. I went, well, yeah, but he says, no, I got everything. I've moved on to other stuff. And I realized he's right, he does. He has everything he needs, but it's what he needs. What about his neighbors? If his neighbors know that he has a trauma kit and there's looters that come in and they get shot and he's unwilling to use his limited supplies for his neighbors because he might need it or his spouse might need it, and rightly so, he's going to let them die. Not recognizing that 8 months later, that guy could be the one that saves his life. And instead of saying, you know, let me pick up a couple extra of these and have them in case somebody else doesn't need something and I'll save mine for me and have something used for somebody else, he just says, no, I got plenty for me. And that's the mindset of all of us as preppers. I have what I need, and if somebody comes to the gate, a bullet's cheaper than a meal, and I can reload my bullets. But see, that person that you give a 3-day kit to, or you give a can of Beanie Weenies to, or you invite them in and give their kids something to drink, let them take a shower. That person could be the person that saves your life 8 months later. Could also be the person that takes your life 8 months later. I prefer to see the better in people. So, does that answer that question? Who asked that question? Yes, Jerry. Yeah, LB. Thank you for the question, LB.
Since we have some newer preppers, you mentioned stuff that we need. What do we need?
Let's play a game. Who's been prepping for 6 months? Raise your hand. Okay. Who started prepping in the last 6 months? Raise your hand. Keep your hands up. Raise your hand if you started prepping the last 6 months. If you started prepping the last 4 months. Okay, so if you put your hands back up for 6 months, keep going down. Okay, who started prepping last month? Who started prepping last month? Today. Outstanding. Y'all win the new list. And I'm going to give one to you too. Just because you've been smiling all night. My wife and I get asked questions all the time. My wife gets asked questions like, what is something that I can buy? What type of food item can I buy and stockpile that never goes bad? How do I store my food? What do I need in my emergency binder? See, men and women are different. Men focus on the guns, the ammo, protecting the family. Women focus on making sure that while the man is protecting the family continues to thrive. As men, we have a tendency to forget things like passports, marriage licenses, mortgages for our home, tax documents, all of that. So my wife in preparation for one of our seminars, put together this list. It's all data she found on the internet, and it's all data that y'all can find on the internet. She put it together.
A little bit with some suggestions.
She tweaked it a little bit. So the first half is some pretty cool suggestions. The second half, I looked at realistically the 13 disaster scenarios that we face in the United States on a daily basis. I put together a list of everything that I would need to get through each one of those. So I had 13 separate lists, right? And then I added to that list what the second person would need, the spouse, what the first child would need, the second child. And what I realized is that you can actually take this out to person number 5, and then when you get to person number 6, you got to start back over with number 1, okay? So I then merged all of the lists together, deleted all the duplicates, and came up with what I call the all-inclusive master list. And if you look over this list, trust me, it is the most comprehensive list you'll ever see for what you need. So the first 3 pages are what you need for a get-home bag. Starting from there, it's everything that you need to get through the first year. Okay? That's my gift to y'all tonight. New preppers. I like new preppers. They're on fire. They are. I love new preppers. I've seen, well, we're not going to go there. I do. It excites me when somebody's new to it. What you need is very simple. Go through your house, every single room, make a list of all the consumable items that you use that you find in each room. That's step 1. Step 2 is put it all on a master list, and then figure upon that master list how often you go through those items. I replace a bar of soap in my bathroom twice a month. I need 24 bars of soap to get through a year. We replace a roll of toilet paper in our home every day. I don't know why. It's a lot of toilet paper. So I need 365 rolls of toilet paper to get through the year, right? So it's very simple to determine what it is you physically use. Then you divide that by 12, and you come up with what you need to purchase every month, so that 1 year from now you have a 1-year supply. Then you take that and you divide it up, your 1 month, divide it up into 4, and that's what you have to get every week when you go to Walmart. It's real simple. The downside is you don't have a year. It's kind of the downside. It's kind of negative, okay? Wait a minute, hon. So you do what you can do during that time, and you get what you need to get. The basics are very simple. There's plenty of water in the Hot Springs area. First thing you want to do is you want to develop a family response plan. You want to know that when day 1 happens, you know everywhere that your family members are when it happens. So that you're not worried about your family member, you're worried about getting home or getting to your family member that's waiting for you, or whatever the case may be, whatever that phase of your family response plan is, okay? Second most important thing to do is to get a good get-home bag, and your get-home bag is completely different from all the junk you're going to find on the internet about get out of Dodge bags and go bags and bug out bags and all of the bags that people build so that they can become refugees, looters, or dead. Instead of a good get-home bag to get you home where your preps are, okay? Once you've got those 2 basic things, then you start focusing on what you really need to survive. The first is food. There's plenty of water in this area. The first is food. Second is a water purification system, so that when you do get water, you've got your water purification system. I recommend to anybody that has a pickup truck and $130 to go to Walmart, buy 33 cases of their 35-count bottles of water that have 16.9 ounces in it. Put it in your basement. Make sure you put it on a pallet. Never put water bottles directly on the concrete or water containers on the concrete, because it will absorb the chemicals out of the concrete and it'll kill you when you drink it. Always put it on, I put it on a pallet, is what I put it on. It keeps it 6 inches off the ground. But really, when you stop and think about it, you can buy enough drinking water for 2 people for 1 year for less than $150 after sales tax. So water's not really something you need to be overly concerned about. It's readily available. The main thing is going to be your food, your medicines, some antibiotics. You want to make sure that you've got some of the extras that you buy or when it comes to antibiotics, you buy more than just what you regularly use. You want to invest in some amoxicillin. You can get the fish amoxicillin off of Amazon or in any pet store. It's the same pill that the doctor's going to prescribe you and you're going to pick up at Rite Aid, 250 milligrams a day. When day one happens, you start on a 10-day cycle of 250 milligrams a day. You run that for 10 days and you stop for 35 days and you start over again to where every 45 days you're taking a solid cycle. If you have a full system, a full cycle of amoxicillin in your system within 45 days of coming in contact with the Black Plague, you'll survive. My philosophy being, if I can survive the Black Plague, I can survive anything else I'm going to encounter, right? So really with your basics in your beginning, have a good family response plan. Make sure that you've got your get-home bags. Once you've got that done, get the food that you need for the year. After you've got that, you start focusing on the things that are going to make living a little bit more comfortable. Extra toilet paper, splurge on a little extra bubble bath, whatever, you know, solar. Solar's big because you can have electricity.